What's up and welcome back, everyone. We are ready. We are ready for, to bring the Pedro Pascal, at least first half of the year, to a close.
I mean, I think he's done for the next couple of years. He should just take a break. Unless
he gets recruited as Wario for Mario. Then we'll see him back. But I have a feeling, man, that and we'll talk about theories, but I have a feeling that Mr. Pascal might be back in Ahsoka. It's possible, but
very possible.
But as for what we know right now, and the internet had all kinds of theories, so we're gonna be done with theories for a minute. All kinds.
I think I missed on all of my predictions. I missed on seeing Thrawn. I missed on a lot of other aspects. Let's say my theory on the armorer. Mm-hmm. What the hell was that?
Yeah. Well, you and like the whole internet.
Yeah, but I said it first.
Yes, Sci'D said it first, ladies and gentlemen.
Remember that, people.
Armorer. I mean, there was Axe Woe's conspiracy. There was Kuska, what is it? Reeves conspiracy, even Bo-Katan. I even said, I don't trust you, Bo, but all my love is to you now. But I did hit on one thing. I said that I had a feeling that we were going to see Moff Gideon in full Mandalorian armor. And
I mean,
we hit that.
How about what they did with his voice?
Ooh, that was dope.
It was like Moff Vader.
Or yeah, it was more like Moff Ren. Don't disrespect my Lord Vader, bro.
Yeah, I was saying they tried very hard to make him look like Vader. Very hard.
Yeah. It was undeniably a badass suit. I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. Voice was awesome. But yeah, I missed on Boba Fett too. Thought we were going to see him and Fennec. I thought everybody was going to come, Ahsoka, Luke, to save the day. But it turns out nobody betrayed them. They were all literally working together. And
nobody else cares for the Mandalorians but Mandalorians.
Exactly.
Stick with your own kind.
One thing that I can't remember if I said it on or off the podcast, but I also said that yes, I thought that Ahsoka or some type of Jedi was going to come because of the Praetorian Guards. And I did say that I thought that Grogu was going to have a big part, which he did. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. And we'll cover today episode 7 and 8, which is like one big fucking movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of my gripes about episode 8, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, let's get into 7 and 8. I mean, it starts off looking like Blade Runner in 7. Like the whole theme of it with seeing Elia Kane in the rain, walking down the alley, running into a droid, just so Moff Gideon can send her a message. And it looked a lot like Blade Runner.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was pretty... also very Andorish too, right? Like Blade Runner, Andorish, like that spy thriller type feel. So we see, that juice is hidden. Yeah. So we see Moff Gideon, right? So this dude is back, and then we see him talking to the council.
Yeah.
In a very old school, round table sort of, futuristic Star Wars-y style with holograms, right? So
them mentioning Thrawn in those holograms.
Yeah, so I think
that was huge.
That was a pretty big reveal, which kind of led us to believe also that we will probably see Thrawn as a cameo at least, right? For this finale, but they're saving it for Ahsoka. But it's very interesting because at this point, I'm thinking, oh shit, like Gideon, took a jab at Thrawn. Thrawn is gonna come and is gonna wreak havoc on Gideon, right? And we'll see if that still happens, but I was pretty pleasantly surprised that they brought him up there, right?
Yeah.
And how quick the other dudes kind of like give up loyalty too, right? Like, well, he's not here, motherfucker, so I don't know what, the other one, well, you have a point, man. I mean,
I mean, they pretty much, Moff Gideon pretty much said, you keep mentioning his name, but he's not showing up to these meetings. It's like, we're a bunch of AA people. If he's definitely part of Alcoholics Anonymous, he needs to come in here and divulge, give us a little gushiness behind his addiction.
Exactly. And not only that, but he's like, well, I don't know what your boy is. You keep talking about it, but by the way, I need some reinforcements. So, and later on we see that, they're pretty much setting up base in Mandalore. But from there, we cut to Navarro, right? And then we see the light cruiser. Grief Karga identifies that it's the Mandalorians right away. And we have the meeting of the tribes that was pretty intense, I think, right? Because, they're meeting for the first time. They're Mando and Bo are bringing these guys over. So how do you think that went?
I mean, pretty much it was a dick measuring contest.
Yeah.
I mean, they had their own little ways, and they had their own little ways. They kept taking jabs. It was like what we see in the real world. Like, I mean, you got, for example, Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. To the outside world, they seem similar, but inside, they're just bashing heads. I mean, it's same in the Middle East. I mean, everyone else thinks Iraq and Iran are the same place. But for us, we're like, these motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good analogy, although I think it's gotten a lot better in recent years. But yeah, some of are like, this is the way. No, man, this is the way. No, but this is the way.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting. And I think another big part of that introduction to the episode was the IG-11 turned into IG-12. I thought that was pretty cute, to give Grogu some type of mechanical vessel so that he can move around and annoy the shit out of Din Djarin for, with the yes. I
mean, it was a little comical in my point of view. Like, if you're going to give him that aspect, just make it more smoother. Don't make him so robotic. Mm-hmm. Remember, this guy is wielding the Force. He's moved beasts with the Force. I would assume he wouldn't even need the joysticks. Just put him in there, and then he can handle the rest of it.
Right.
Make it a more smoother situation, and don't leave that whole area wide open to one laser beam shot.
Right. Like a little,
cover.
Glass or some type of dome,
some sort of force shield.
Yeah, what would have been cool, like a little, like T-type visor to go on there. I don't know, but and then the yes and no button. I'm like, man, like could you give him a little bit more, man? Like, I don't know, like this is the way or something. But it was cute. It was cute to see him there. And it definitely becomes relevant afterwards.
How about the Anzelis, the little boys?
Yeah.
The Anzelis be like, no, baby, no squeezy.
Yeah, are they from the Middle East too?
Yeah, pretty much. Sounds like all my uncles.
That's awesome. So Grogu gets a vehicle, and then they finally drop into Mandalore, right? They take an excursion to go to Mandalore. They grab some volunteers as to, Paz, Vesla, and I think it was Costco, the first one that kind of volunteered. So they go to Mandalore, and they find, there's like, I think the internet is calling these hobo Mandalorians in the pirate ship.
I mean, I would just call them pirate Mandalorians at this point.
Pirate Mandalorians.
I mean, they're running a boat that runs on sand. I mean, that's pretty fucking weird. And rock.
Yeah, it was interesting, man, because you see that shit show up, and immediately I thought, Goonies, and Pirates of the Caribbean or something, and I'm like, oh, they're bringing this into here. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
It would pretty much been funny if like they said, like they just announced Mandalorians never say die, like Goonies.
That was cool. They should have had a dude. What's the chocolate guy? I forgot.
Oh, Chunk. Oh, Sludge.
Yes, the Sludge.
Sludge love Chunk.
With like a deformed, helmet or whatever. But hey, which by the way, did you recognize any of the hobo Mandalorians?
Yes. My good friend, the African American man with the white hair, was in Maverick. Was in Top Gun Maverick.
Okay. So that's not the one that I was looking at. But that's interesting. Anybody else?
No.
So remember Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like the skinny guy that was next to.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and actually looked like he gained some weight, so he didn't look like a complete junkie. But
he didn't look like a crackhead this time around. That's why I didn't recognize him.
He should have had like his little Beskar beanie or whatever, and you would have guessed it right away. Yeah, so our little boy Skinny Pete made it to the Star Wars universe, so that was pretty cool. So they're in the ship. I think one of the relevant parts in there is the chess match.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Between X and Paz.
Which escalated very quickly.
Super quickly.
I mean, I think everyone's dealt with somebody that plays a game slightly different. Usually it's card games.
Monopoly.
And Monopoly, nobody knows the rules. I don't care what anyone says. No one plays Monopoly exactly how it's supposed to be played. Everyone comes up with one thing that's different. All right, you got to go twice around, and then we can buy stuff. Free parking, you get nothing, or you get $500, or you get something. Everyone changes the rules around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that set up a bit. That set up almost a good scuffle. And who comes to the rescue?
Mr. Grogu. No. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And they actually, they actually start fighting. I mean, each one of them had a good, some pretty good jabs in there, and then Grogu separates them, and they kind of listened, which was pretty cool.
Well, what was nice about it was, under Mandalorian law or rule, if two want to go at it, no one else can jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And Grogu being, I guess, not full inclined in the Mandalorian way, was able to get in there and just break everything up. And IG-11 being so strong, or IG-12, however you want to look at him, he was able to hold both of them off with no problem.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, because and you're right, because Bo said like, hey, like let him go, let him.
Yeah,
sooner or later it was gonna happen, so just let him fight it out.
My thing is like, is that rule to the death or until someone says mercy?
I think someone has to yield, right? Someone has to yield, but if you don't yield, then buddy, you have bad news.
Sayonara, Sally.
Hasta la vista, baby. And, we also find it interesting there. So a little history there is that, Bo
admits
surrenders, right, to Moff Gideon to kind of protect the people. But this motherfucker just kind of still went apeshit and burned the whole place down. And to her surprise, they did have, survivors. And
honestly, like I'm when I look at that, I don't understand why the Mandalorians that are on the ship, the pirate ones, I would imagine them either being more distraught, angry, disappointed, like more emotion involved. I just think that they let her off kind of easy.
Yeah.
Like she gave up a very substantial amount of clout by giving the Darksaber away. And you lost all the love and leadership for your people by that one move. Now, it would have been more respectful if she lost and if she faced them one-on-one and gave it up. But she admits she just surrenders the Darksaber with no fight in her.
Yeah.
And then decides to leave Mandalore, thinking everyone left, leaving behind a substantial amount of Mandalorians behind.
Yeah, and I think the the attitude that these guys had was almost like, man, you came back, right? Like, we were waiting for you. Like, we knew you were gonna come back. Almost like a second coming of Jesus or something, right? And like you said, you would expect them to be pissed, especially because of their culture, right? Like, you know, if you feel like some type of way, especially if you feel betrayed, that just doesn't stop there. But they had a different attitude, right? Like, they kind of seemed like they were loyal to the planet. I think they also asked about like the Death Watch, and I think that this is when the armorer says like that Death Watch is no more. Like we're all here, and they just kind of said, "Hey, pledge to you, Bo," right away. So, which was interesting. Now, from the point of view of somebody that has been, maybe alone in a desert for many years without like being able to escape. Yeah, you see, perhaps leader that betrayed you in the past, but that's all you got, man. So might as well pledge honor. I don't know from that point of view.
I don't know. I think these the whole Mandalorian way is a very macho way. Whether it be male or female, it's still a very macho-esque way. They have one drive, one path, one way, and for someone to break that way, I think they should have been more insulted or angry with the whole situation.
Yeah, totally. I mean, especially the way they look. They look like they could use a shower.
And a real meal. Everyone looked anorexic.
Indeed. Shout out to Skinny Pete. So and so before we step away from this pirate ship scene, I think another relevant one was Mando talking to Bo, right? And I thought it was very similar to like Jon Snow pledging his honor to Daenerys, and I thought they were gonna do it right there.
I mean, they've had so many chances,
but I mean,
do they not want to they don't want to touch or any type of romanticizing any type of relationship?
I feel like something's coming. Because it was a very short scene, but very personal, very powerful and personal, where he, we're both kind of doubting herself, right? And Mando kind of comes in and reaffirms that, they'll rebuild, that Mandalorians have done it for thousands of years, and quote, what means more to me is loyalty and honor and character. Your song is not yet written. I will serve you until it is. And her panties were definitely wet by that point, if not around her ankles. Shit. I had my panties off, bro. I'm like, yes, didn't you here? Take my boxer.
I mean, the fact that you're wearing panties, I'm kind of worried. But anyways, moving on.
Oh, you didn't know that? But anyway, yeah. So,
you know what's nice? What also he said, like, she keeps thinking the only reason why people follow her is because of the Darksaber. He kind of reassures her, saying, "No, we follow you because you're a true leader. You're the leader of everyone here." So that's why he's pledging. And I love that he said that aspect, because until recently, he never even knew there was something called a Darksaber. I think most of these Mandalorians living on the moon where Din Djarin came from, probably know a little bit about maybe a Darksaber, not fully enriched in it.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, and that's why I'm saying it's powerful, because like you just said, he just learned about the Darksaber, right? Like, he doesn't even, he was holding it because I guess he earned it because she wouldn't take it back. But
well, I mean, he's like, I had to fight. I fought Moff Gideon, got it. Paz Vizsla wanted to take it from me. I beat him, got it. Yeah. So I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm a traditional guy. I'm gonna hold on to it.
Yeah. So what's the plan? The plan was going to going to the forge, right? To the Great Forge.
Pretty much what they were looking for is to see with their own eyes if Mandalore is still available, is still possible to live on. And then if, we already knew that Din Djarin and Bo-Katan have been there, but I think everyone else was still skeptical. So going to see the atmosphere is livable, then moving on to the next aspect of it, see where the Great Forge is, and that's pretty much their cathedral. The Great Forge is everything and anything to the Mandalorian. So making sure that that's available and functioning or able to be functional, it was key for them.
Indeed. So, and this is where all the, the show's called The Spies, and I think this is where everybody's just trying to fucking look at everything, to see like who the spy is. Dude, there was even clips of like Casca Reeves, like, volunteering first, and they're like, oh, she has to be it. And looking at Grogu funny, oh, she has to be it. Or Axe Woves, right? Like he, just little things. So this is where it kind of starts, where everybody, and it's crazy because they write it this way so that we can talk about that shit, right?
I mean, when they find the people on the ship, they saw that some of these people were not healthy, some were injured, and the armor goes, I will take them back. I'm like, dude, what is she up to? Immediately, my head's like, why is she like quick on the trigger? So I'm like, that's it. Here's where it's going to happen. She's going to do something to the ships when she gets there. Something's up. Yep. She's gonna take over Moff Gideon's old cruiser, and she's gonna turn her back on everybody and be the Benedict Arnold I think she is.
Exactly.
That didn't happen.
Nope. Good old armor, loyal as hell. How dare you? But
betrayed you.
She's still. You know what? She will be recast for sure, but just like a rehabilitated true Mandalorian Rook. But they make it, they go down to the forge. We see these new troopers, right, with the Beskar armor. I can't remember if you call them just like a scout trooper or Mandalorian troopers.
I'm calling them Beskar enhanced trooper. That's it. They're stormtroopers. They're literally stormtroopers just with a different outfit.
Yeah, with a Beskar outfit. And I think they made their first appearance in the Clone Wars, if I remember correctly. Or maybe not the Clone Wars, maybe Rebels.
It was Rebels.
Rebels with, what's his name? The other Mandalorian in white. I forgot his name. That was also like trying to go after Sabine and her mom. If you remember that. So, yeah, I think that's where we first saw them, which was pretty cool to see him in live action. But then they discover, right, that they're there. Like, what the fuck are they doing there?
I mean, I was shocked by that. I thought we were going to see Moff Gideon attack from like outer space. Mm-hmm. That's why I was very skeptical about the armorer, because I'm like, okay, she's heading up there by herself. Moff Gideon's on his way anyways. We know that he's on his way. Mm-hmm. That's why he asked for all the extra troopers, everything else coming his way. And then you realize Moff Gideon and all of his clansmen have been at Mandalore this whole time. Mm-hmm. And they've been there for a long time because it is well established. Everything's in its place. The TIE fighter hangar looked amazing. Mm-hmm. I was like, honestly, I think the TIE fighter is like one of the coolest planes ever. I'll be honest.
Hell yeah.
I'll take that over the
X-wing,
over the Skywalker. Yeah, over the X-wing.
Yeah, they're pretty badass. I gotta say, and these are a different type of TIE fighter, but I know what you mean. They're so versatile, so fucking awesome. I
mean, it's the same one Darth Vader uses.
Yeah,
it's not the satellite dish one.
Right.
It's not that one. It's the one with the pointy thing. Yeah, and I love that thing.
Yeah, it's if you have a chance, and to anyone listening, to play Star Wars Squadrons on VR. Oh my God, it's fucking
Really?
awesome. You get to ride a TIE fighter, and I mean it's VR, man, but it's very realistic. It's not very 16-bit old school Mario looking. No, it's very realistic. And you get to ride one of those motherfuckers in battle, which is pretty awesome. So just a quick plug for that, the Star Wars game, but it was an ambush, obviously, and
It was a trap.
It's a trap. And somehow they literally between the wall and a hard place, because the Praetorian Guard show up, right? Moff Gideon kind of closes. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Closes the gate, and then Bo has to kind of like make an exit through the back.
Are they in Beskar armor?
The Praetorian Guards? It seemed like it. It seemed like it because, well, no, they're not. They're not.
Okay.
But they are these very skillful warriors, with like ninja style skills, right? Like with martial arts skills.
I consider them the outer space samurais.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, right? And definitely very hard to take down, unless you're a Jedi. If you're a Jedi, you can take it down pretty quickly. But we see that, the Mandalorians are trapped. They have to retreat. Paz stays back. And dude, like that scene, definitely worth calling out, because he has his minigun. And I'm sorry, but you were talking shit about the minigun last time. That motherfucker took every single stormtrooper, bro. Every single stormtrooper coming at him, and I thought that was badass.
I wasn't talking shit about it. They did it wrong. Like, it was struggling against certain monsters and beasts and other fights, but during this scene, all of a sudden, it's taking people down like they were made out of Swiss cheese. Like, let's get some consistency here.
He was rusty. But you're right. Yeah, you're right. You were not talking shit about the gun. You were talking shit about the use of the gun. But yeah, he took him down. And then once the gun overheated, man, like he grabbed them by the fucking nuts and just kicked their ass. And then the Praetorian Guard show up, and unfortunately, Paz was no match, and they get him. While that's happening, Mando gets trapped, right? And they take him away, and we see that just kind of passes out, no pun intended, and passes away, and passes on, and then that's it. The show is over. And this is where all the theories started coming out, right? Like, we had a week of fucking everybody just going bonkers, bro, with the theories, and we did it ourselves.
I mean, okay, it could have been the story. The 7 and 8. I just feel like the story could have been so much more enriched. There was no shock value to 7 and 8. Even with Paz Vizsla dying, I was like, okay, I knew somebody had to go. Not everyone's going to survive. I didn't want him to go, but I get it. I mean, it's got to be someone everyone likes. And then, I don't know, without giving us some sort of spy after calling it spies, it's like, was that just a redirect? Was that like sleight of hand? Hey, look at the spies. By the way, there's no spies. There really wasn't.
Right.
And the thing that we've talked about in the past, what we loved about season 2 was the fucking impact of the last episode. Like, it was a great season, no complaints. And then they fucking turned it up to fucking 100. And I was like, oh my God, Luke Skywalker just showed up. This is the best day of my life. Not in season 3. Season 3 was very, very passive aggressive. It seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, and we'll get into it into episode 8 here in a second, but I think that our minds, because we wanted that big shock factor. I mean, we wanted Ahsoka. I think we even talked about Ezra making an appearance, right? Thrawn, Luke is out there. Like we were, me and Young Regal were kind of talking about it too, and just making a list of what Jedi is alive out there. I mean, they got to that point, right? To where like
they could have shocked us and brought Darth Maul.
Yeah,
really fuck our minds over, showing that season 3 was on a. We could have taken an L on season 3 as Mandalorians, as long as the shock value was there, and then people would really turn in for season 4.
Yeah. Although Maul is dead by this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could have. Yeah. I mean, but yes, we talked about like what if they cloned him, right? And what if they brought him back? Like it would be so cool to have him back in live action. Dude, Keller and Beck, we're thinking about him. And it was very. The expectation was so high that I think that after watching the show, a lot of people were disappointed, kind of like how you are, but. I mean, I just don't want to take away from it being a great episode. It was packed with action, and our heroes saved the day. Like the Mandalorian, right? So, like, if you kind of take a step back and think about just the episode as alone, I thought it was good. However, like all this thinking about something big kind of left the hole, right?
A little bit.
So the return picks up right where the Spice episode ended, and it starts with Bo and like them kind of giving orders to Woes to let the people in the ship know to come down and fucking fight because TIE fighters are being deployed. Go over there. Bring everybody down, and then communications kind of go off. And you still, to this point, you're thinking, "Oh, this motherfucker is gonna do something," right?
Right.
And even when
in my head, I'm still thinking the armorer is up to something.
Yes, and then once he goes in the ship and he's like, "Everybody out! I'll stay back as a decoy." And I'm like, I got you, motherfucker. And no, man, he was so heroic, bro. That it's just kind of like, oh man, like I wanted you to be bad so badly. I mean,
like, let's be honest. There's some things that were going on that I just don't understand. Like, so he abandoned ship. Everyone jumps in those other ships, flies down through the clouds, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And nobody notices that they're coming down as the TIE fighters are coming up. These guys are known for their radar. Nobody sees that. They just ignore both people just ignore everything.
So, and I think there was a scene which again doesn't make no sense. Now, there's a scene where we can see him like boom, like hide in the clouds, right? And right after the TIEs fucking show up. Yeah, radar, where the fuck was that, right? But I guess with the writing, they were going after the light destroyer or whatever it was.
Now that I think about it, here's what I'll say. Mm-hmm. Maybe the clouds are causing the distortion, not only in communications, but also with radar.
Could be that. Now, that was another thing that kind of grinded my gears because like they had issues with communications, right? However, Moff Gideon is able to have fucking 4K definition holograms around him and shit, and from who knows where the fuck these motherfuckers are, right? So anywhere, I digress. And then Mando kind of makes a Joel from The Last of Us type escape, right? Where your typical, two dudes are escorting him, and of course are no match for like a quick, a quick action Mando just kicking their ass. And the last one was about to get him, but then Grogu saves him, right? Like Grogu shows up and saves him, like the first time, really, right? And we find out that Grogu kind of stayed behind. Everybody left. Grogu said, nah, fuck that. I'm going to go look for my dad. And another quick, powerful moment here where Mando stands up and he tells, like, hey, listen, Grogu, like, man up. I'm done we're done running. Let's go get his ass. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, some technical difficulties, but I was just talking about the part, and I don't know what the last thing you heard, but just before walking away from that, Grogu saves Mando, and then Mando kind of tells him, like, hey, man, like, I need you to man up. We need to go after Gideon. Like, we've been running away this whole time. I need you to level up and let's go. And Grogu just kind of like nods, and I thought that was so cool, man, because he's like, let's go, boy.
I just wanted him to say yes.
Another cool part, R5 comes into play. Mando calls R5, and
I mean, the callback to A New Hope with R2D2 and the rockets.
Oh my
and him
God.
breaking into that little scooter, little watchdog
mouse droids, I think they're called.
That was amazing.
Yeah, dude, I think we hadn't seen those since like A New Hope, since like the old school movies, bro.
No, they showed up in, I think, Obi-Wan.
Oh,
when they were on the planet and shit.
That's awesome. But yeah, and it's funny because it's like, R5, are you there? And all of a sudden behind the rocks is like, what's up? Like, ready, on cue, bro. So
the fact that they kept going to that, like, they were just you saw Mandalorian and Grogu do that move too. Oh my God. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. So R5 is able to send the schematics. They're going to Moff Gideon. Meantime, Moff Gideon knows too that they're on the loose, and he says he's gonna go get them, right? But a very cool scene. Well, I think I'm going ahead, right? Because no, I think that's when R5 starts deactivating the shields, right? And what a strategy, right? And
how about the shields? What did that remind you of?
Of episode 1? No, episode 3, right? Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon and
episode 1 fighting Darth Maul.
Is it 1? I confused them, but yeah, Qui-Gon and Maul, right? Which was like the perfect strategy. Is like, hey, I can take 2 of them at a time, right? And no weapons or anything, and he takes them down. So shout out to R5 for doing that. Mando does his thing. While that is happening, X, of course, makes it to the ship. And I thought another cool scene here where they're all dropping and the armor or two, like, and this is when I had no doubts. This is the point where she just launches herself with her fucking hammers, bro, in the air. Oh my God. I'm talking about it. I'm getting chills, because it was so cool that, she's in the forge. She doesn't see any action.
How about the fact that Bo does the He-Man, the power of Grayskull move with the Darksaber?
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
I was like, oh man.
That was great, man. The power of that. I watched the episode again today, and I was just like, oh my God, that's just so cool. Because it's like it has this feeling of this battle, right? Like it took me back to like kind of like Game of Thrones or Braveheart, like, and even though it was not a long, very detailed battle, they gave us a live action Mandalorian battle, man. We can't get better than that.
I mean, another huge shout out. Well, not shout out. Another, I guess, homage or Easter egg was Moff Gideon cloning himself. Wasn't that Thrawn in Rebels? Didn't Thrawn do the same thing? He had a bunch of pods where he was cloning himself?
I don't think it was Thrawn. I think they were trying to. I think you might be confusing it with them trying to clone Snoke, because he wasn't Tanks. But I don't remember Thrawn. Unless
see that. I swear I saw that
unless
somewhere.
It could be from like the comic books from Legends, but I don't remember.
Maybe.
I don't remember it in Rebels. But I mean, again, I'm not saying that you're wrong. It might be that it's 420.
Let's just say I haven't partaken yet, but I will soon.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big scene, man, because it's the clone tanks, and all this time, we're thinking, they're trying to clone, maybe, Palpatine, Snoke,
I mean,
whoever.
he was trying to wield the Force.
Mm-hmm.
He was who is he combining with? Is he combining with DNA from Grogu? What Jedi was it?
Grogu. Had to be Grogu, because that's whose blood Dr. Pershing took in episode 1.
Yeah.
It was for Gideon, right? He was behind that whole thing. And we find out here that, yes, I mean, we had the suspicion, right, that they wanted to make someone have the Force, a clone, but we just didn't know it was Moff Gideon trying to make a perfect version of himself. Mando destroys those, and which was a pretty cool scene of them getting destroyed. While that is happening, we see the hobo Mando showing the green side of Mandalore, right? As they made their escape, and
I guess the biggest ailment to that, I mean, the biggest positive to that. Now, mind you, she says the only time she's ever seen these things grow was under the dome.
Mm-hmm.
So for them not needing a dome anymore, are they going to be living in caves going forward? Is that what it is? Or are they going to get modern again?
Yeah, I feel like both, right? Because they did a very Jurassic Park line there, I think, at some point, like life always prevails or some shit, right? And
life figures things out.
Yeah, something like that. And like they said, hey, we planted these shits and there's vegetation or whatever. So I think that just represents, it doesn't have to be the enclosed dome type Mandalore anymore. Like, we can expand and fucking be a little bit more like Earth, where like, we have I mean
helmets on. Practice safe Mandalorian.
Hey, I mean, Bo. So this is where they get the call. Armor is like, hey, let's go. And so this is where so they had that little peaceful moment for like a second, and then they went right into battle, right? Reinforcements arrive. This is where we kind of touch base on this. Armor drops, Darksaber in flight. And one of the most awesome things that I think I've seen in Star Wars is this, like, this collision wall, right, of the stormtroopers and them in the air, just literally just going at it, like almost like a Braveheart type, war scene or whatever. I man, and then the way the armor was taking them down, bro, just like boom, boom, orgasmic for me, bro.
He was just hammer slapping everybody.
I love it.
Honestly, like, the biggest thing that we're about to touch base on is, you have Mando fighting Moff Gideon. Finally, Bo shows up to help out.
Yes.
Then they start going at it. And one thing I don't understand is Moff Gideon's suit enhanced and everyone else's suit is not enhanced?
Pretty much.
Like, because he is stronger than everybody, from what I can tell.
Yes, and they make it a point to give us that mechanical sound, like the because he obviously has like some type of shock system and whatever.
Yeah, I think did they steal that from RoboCop from the 80s?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was, like. And I also was like, why are you taking your helmet off? Like, put it on or off, man. Like, make up your mind. But yeah, in that fight scene, Mando launches at him with full jetpack power, and he stops him basically, right? And then like almost kicked his ass, but Mando's the shit. Another interesting part is that when that all began, like Gideon does this bad guy speech, like just start fighting, bro. Like, why are you having to explain your whole plan? Like
like, here's what I'm gonna do.
He's like,
beat you up. I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna beat her up. I'm gonna go over there and destroy everybody.
All right.
Yeah. And you're screwed.
Yeah.
And you didn't do shit.
Praetorian guys show up. They see Grogu shows up, and they go after Grogu, and that's just where we are left with Mando and Moff, and then Bo kind of saves them. Very cool part, man, because they kind of get locked up with Grogu, and he jumps out. He uses the Force, and
not yet. You forgot a big scene.
What's that?
The Darksaber gets destroyed.
Yes.
Prior to that, like, when that thing gets destroyed, mind you, does it get destroyed? Because it's a kyber crystal. Can I not just create a new one and put that same kyber crystal in there, and we're good to go?
Absolutely.
Jedis have been doing it forever.
Absolutely. I just think that as I was looking at it, man, I just think there might be a little bit more to it than that, right? I think that the Darksaber symbolized, right, like this leadership for the Mandalorians, and I think it's almost like, boom, it's gone. You don't have to wield the lightsaber anymore. Let's fucking make this different now, right? Like, let's get rid of that shit, because it was just causing problems, man. Like, anybody can kick your ass and then hold it.
Here's one of my gripes with this episode. That scene right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the symbol of the Mandalorians has been destroyed. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
We can call it a major symbol.
Major symbol.
So we've known in the past that when something happens to the Darksaber and it goes away, they all leave you. What better way to establish Bo-Katan as a true leader after the Darksaber gets destroyed? Instead of a blazing fire killing off Moff Gideon, wouldn't it have been better if that beast from the water rose up, saved everybody and killed Moff Gideon? And every Mandalorian saw that. And what is that animal called again? I forgot.
The Mythosaur.
Let's say the Mythosaur came, destroys Gideon, protects Bo-Katan the whole time, and only allows her to be able to touch him. Mm-hmm. That would have been huge. Or like she jumps on him, rides him, and kills Moff Gideon. Yeah. But no, there's so much missing from this episode that could have been wow. Because like I keep saying, 7 and 8 could have been 7.
Yeah.
Like, you could have combined it to made it an hour long and made it 7. Everything that you liked, keep it in there. Change a couple of things towards the final end of it. Adding the Mythosaur, adding more details of what's going on with the New Republic that's being established in the background. I mean, we just like, oh yeah, it's still going on. We'll just think about it later.
Yeah, and so that was another theory, right? That was a miss for us, because we're thinking that we're gonna see the Mythosaur. And we did see him at the end, right? But we didn't see him in action. And yeah, we were calling it, where we're saying, hey, like, either Bo or Grogu, right? But the more I think about this, right, is they're saving this for the movie, because now that they said that we're gonna do a movie, right, to kind of like link all the shows up, and I think probably close some of the Mandalorian, the Mandoverse, right? They're gonna save a lot of that shit for the movie, and I feel like this is why they didn't drop some of this shit right here, because at the end of the day, and one of my theories, I think that it's not Bo. I think it's gonna be Grogu, man. I think Grogu's gonna be the man. But
what do you mean?
So what I mean is, the last Mandalorian leader to wield the Darksaber and be a Mandalorian, half Jedi, was Tar Vizsla, right? Since then, the very next Mandalorian that possesses those capabilities is Grogu, right? Now he's a baby now, but we're
a 50-year-old baby.
A 50-year-old baby, but the new Rey movie is gonna happen 15 years after the last movie, right? Not Return of the Jedi, but you know what I'm talking
Last
about.
Skywalker.
Last Skywalker. The Rise of the Skywalker. Yeah, whatever. And then it would be fucking stupid for them not to have Grogu in that movie as a fucking full-blown Mandalorian Jedi, bro. It would be foolish.
I mean, it would be very, but like, you know what? I know we're going into somewhere else right now. What I would like to see is the reestablishing of the Jedi Council, like an official Jedi Council on a planet. It doesn't have to be Coruscant. It just needs to be somewhere. It could be Navarro, but like an actual Jedi Council. Navarro could be everyone's safe haven. It could be Switzerland. You got the Mandalorians have a base there. You have other people that have a base there. You can have the Jedi Council have a functioning base there.
A temple.
And a temple of sorts. Yeah. And then go from there. Like, I hope that's what Rey's plan is.
Yeah, so I think that's what the script is leading to, Rey bringing back the Jedi Council. Now, will she do it in one movie? No. We're probably going to have to wait till like 2030 for us to see that. But I think that's going to be the initiation of that. I think the writing definitely has to take a turn into what we're used to now within the last 5 years, rather than like the old three movies. They're gonna save this, bro. They're gonna save these movies. They're gonna bring them back strong with all these characters like Ahsoka, Luke. Luke no more. But the movies that they're coming out with, right? But Grogu has to be there.
I mean, the amount of cloning involved, you never know. Everyone's getting a clone.
This is the way.
Away.
So the Force bubble,
huge, like,
man. I mean,
the amount of power that Grogu is now able to put together without being fatigued. Yeah, he sat down, but he was like, free spirited when he sat down. Force bubble lasted a solid 30 seconds. It seemed like. I mean, that was amazing. That was like my favorite part.
Fuck, man. Like, it was, I was yelling at the TV. I was saying, like, we don't need Ahsoka. We don't need Luke. I mean, we had Grogu this whole fucking time, bro. Like, we had Grogu this whole time. And I'm so happy that he saved the day with this little Force bubble, which kind of brings me back to Rebels a little bit. Okay. My boy Kanan, bro. Why couldn't he do that shit? Why couldn't he do that? He will still cloning, right? Hopefully they'll bring him.
It's amazing where this could go. Like, if they really wanted to, they could go in so many directions.
Yeah.
Like, especially with just Ahsoka. Ahsoka can like touch bases more on Rebels than any other show in the world. Like, we're gonna have a direct lead from Rebels to Ahsoka.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's touched base. I think they're probably gonna take certain stories. I mean, Darth Vader's in it. Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader's in it. So that's gonna. I mean, are they gonna talk about that pass-through mirror that everyone could go through? Is that going to be involved? Is that going to be part of Ahsoka? And how are they going to do it? What's it going to say? What's it going to reveal?
Yeah, and I think alone, just having the Rebels alone is going to be huge. And Darth, of course. I mean, he is alive during this time, right? And I think it'll bring closure, because if you think about it, the way Rebels ended, right? It's almost like as if this is not going to be an Ahsoka show, but like a conclusion of what's going to happen in Rebels, right? Because Rebels, I mean, and spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Rebels, tune out and then come back. But Ezra and Thrawn, man, like there was no happy ending there. Ezra and Thrawn just disappear, right? We know Hera has a kid, right? And then Zeb, we know now that's with the New Republic or whatever. But there was no what happened to Ahsoka. What really happened to Ezra and Thrawn? If he comes back, Ezra has to be back.
We don't even know what really happened between Ahsoka and Vader when she tried to talk to Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's Vader's suit, but she kept trying to talk to Anakin.
Right.
She kept calling him master.
Yeah.
The whole time. And then we never got any closure with that.
Nope. Because
so is it my thing is like I hope Ahsoka's a continuation, but my gut tells me it's going to be one of those we're jumping back and forth type of shows.
Gotcha. But they have to explain something, man. I mean, they're not gonna have. I mean, they show us Thrawn, Sabine, Hera. Like, I feel like it has to be a not only a continuation, but yeah, like it has to give us closure as to what happens with these characters, or maybe not closure, but yeah, bring them back and give them new missions, whatever, right? Like utilize the hell out of them, but they're there.
Like that's another thing. Sabine Wren. Is Ahsoka happening at the same time frame as Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Why? How did we not get some sort of cameo if they're trying to reestablish Mandalore? Right. How do we not get a Sabine Wren cameo? Even a hint and an after credit scene. That it could have been a ship that has her insignia on it.
Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah.
Something. There could have been so much. I think episode 8 could have had so much, and I think they just left it on the drawing board.
And we'll find out that timeline, right? But you're right. But what I think will happen is that we're gonna see Bo and Mando in Ahsoka, right? I think we're definitely gonna have them there. Yeah, because and I think they'll come into play in the sense of, well, of course, Bo and Sabine Wren and even Ahsoka, right? Like had a pretty tight bond, right? And then, so it would be silly for them not to bring Bo. But then, for all of us that feel like there was something missing in this season finale of Mandalorian, or in this season altogether, what did they do in Boba Fett, man? They brought Mando, and he was the wow factor, right? So I think something's got to give there.
Are we going to get some sort of Obi-Wan cameo? Like a little quick visit to his love interest?
Let's think about this.
I mean, I don't know where that's the thing. I don't really know the time frame that Ahsoka's happening.
No, because Satine is dead by this time. She's dead. She was killed in the Clone Wars.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's dead. I mean, we'll figure out the timeline once it comes out, but I really doubt it, man. I think we're gonna have a few long months of theories here. And I like where you're going.
The Obi-Wan thing is the biggest long shot if you're a bad gambling person.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we see Din Grogu. Din Grogu,
bro. So speaking of, right? So Force Bubble. We jump to Ragnar Vizsla being, inducted into the Mando Hall of Fame. And Ragnar Vizsla, what a badass name. He has to be something, bro.
Listen, I know I'm harping on this, but the Mythosaur, just pop your head out of the water then. Just be like, hey there.
Well, they did that, right? Because when Grogu...
No, they went underwater.
Well, they went back underwater. Yeah. But I think... So this is the other thing, right? So...
Because my point is this. Nobody else has seen the Mythosaur. Except for one person. And that would have been nice if he could have backed her play just in case there was any naysayers because the Darksaber went away.
But this is where I think, and I don't know if you felt the same way, but when Grogu was down there, and very cute, Mando adopts him, and he is not a foundling anymore. He's an apprentice now. He felt the mythosaur, bro, because he directly pointed at the water. He did his little Grogu cute little sounds, and then immediately we go down to the mythosaur. He opens his eye. So this is why I feel like Grogu is gonna be the shit.
I hope to God they make him taller than Yoda. Eventually,
Yaddle, yeah.
No, Yaddle was okay. Remember Yaddle in that little cartoon that they did, the 15-minute clip with Dooku?
Yeah.
She was way taller and skinnier than Yoda.
Yeah.
Make him that size.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So I think to me that was a clue that, that Grogu was going to become a big part, and maybe now Bo and for many years, but Grogu is going to outlive all of them, right? So spoiler alert, everybody's going to die and Grogu is going to be alive. But that's why I'm thinking after, with Rey or whatever, like he should be at least a full-grown adult male, right? Very young, 100-year-old, right? Whatever species they are, but and I think even with the bubble, right? Like going back to Kanan or whatever, he's little. He did that. I think he will be powerful, bro. I think he's gonna be one of the greats.
You think Grogu is gonna be one of the greats?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be one of Jedi Council for sure.
I don't know about that.
Grogu.
I don't know. I think he's undertrained.
He's Baby Yoda, bro.
I'm just saying he's undertrained. He's not. Yes, he did the bubble and it's growing, but he needs proper training. Like he needs to be not an apprentice of a Mandalorian, but a real apprentice of a Jedi.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping. Well, I don't even honestly if Grogu isn't a full size whatever creature he is by when the Rey movie comes out, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Go fuck yourself.
You don't think Yoda was badass? You know what? There's a scene, and I think it was from episode. It was not Clone Wars. I think it was episode 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. And the Praetorian guards come at him too. And which is crazy because how Paz didn't have a chance. They fucking beat the shit out of Mando or whatever. There's a scene where they're coming at Yoda, bro, and he didn't even bust out his lightsaber, bro. All he did was this.
Excuse me.
And fucked them up, bro. So I'm thinking that if the writers, right, do want to give Grogu this power, fuck.
That's my point exactly. I mean, how long did Yoda train for?
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. I mean, Grogu's still a baby, man. I mean, there's time, right? I mean, Lucas out there, we don't know what.
Okay, so So if Baby Yoda is 50 years old and he's this big, in another 50 years, when Rey comes around, he's going to be this big. So right now, he's the size of my hand.
The size doesn't matter, bro.
It does when it involves a lot of killing.
It's the motion in the ocean.
And killing.
I don't know, but it's fun to talk about because I feel like, he will be a significant part. I mean, in the future, who do we have, right? And even if we count Jedi now, right? I mean, Ahsoka's technically not a Jedi, but yeah, she's a Jedi. Luke, right? In this universe. Obi-Wan, right? And Caloran Beck, right? But other than that, Grogu, I mean,
we have, what's the name? We have someone that I wish they would bring to the fucking forefront.
Ezra.
Who's the guy from? Not Ezra. Who's the guy from the video games? Jedi
Cal Kestis. Yeah,
bring him on, man.
Absolutely, they will, bro. Oh my god, this game. I can't wait, man, because this is, I feel like, the beginning. You know how we have phases in Marvel? I think this is just like the beginning, bro. I think it's going to get insane.
Now, let me ask you this. So, in one of the final scenes, Mandalorian meets up with Carson Teva, Capitan.
Yeah.
Is that setting up a spinoff?
So I thought that spinoff was canceled, which is what was going to be X-Force or some shit like that. Something, Rogue Squadron. Yeah. One of those where I think Captain Carson was going to be one of the main guys, right? And it would be cool because I would assume that maybe oh my God, what's the rebel? Zeb would have probably been on there. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
But yeah, I think, I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be, I would hope, right?
Like, I'm wondering because there's that scene. Then we have the scene back on Navarro.
Mm-hmm.
IG-11 is back alive. He is the new sheriff in town. So is he supposed to handle everything by himself for that whole planet? A lot of questions. Yeah. And then Mandalorian has a cabin, or Din Djarin has a cabin. He's got a little stretch of land. Is he retired? What's going on? Is he? I know he's doing what's it called? He's going to pick up little cases here and there for the New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
He's so. Okay, what is that all?
So this is So this is what it kind of didn't make sense to me, right? That. Yeah, he's not retired because he's going to be doing jobs for the New Republic.
Contractor. Yes. That's what I was trying to say. Independent contractor.
Get it right, because he's not working for the New Republic directly. Indirectly, he is. So I think he'll have these gigs, that will involve him, doing these bounties or whatever. But what doesn't make sense to me is that, they give him the little cabin in Navarro or whatever. I'm like, motherfucker, weren't you just fighting for Mandalore? Isn't that your home planet? Like, why can't you go to Mandalore and chillax there on your days off? Like, I don't get that. Why does it have to be this cabin? Or is this additional? Is this like a lake house, right? You're going to have your main house in Mandalore. It just kind of didn't make sense to me that they went through all this fucking shit and now they're just like two loners, him and his kid. Now, the one thing that kind of makes me think of why he's doing that is because the armorer said, now he's your apprentice. You have to go show him the way. And what better way to show him the way than to actually be doing these bounty hunts, right? But home should still be Mandalore, in my opinion, right?
Well, let me answer this. Are they establishing any presence on Navarro other than Din Djarin? Meaning, like, they were given all this land. Mm-hmm. It was a substantial amount of land. They said from this river to this canyon, whatever. Is anyone establishing, let's say, a base there? And how many people are staying in Mandalore? And are there other Mandalorians somewhere else? Is that what we're going to be looking for?
Right. Yeah, I mean, those are all good questions because how fast can they restore Mandalore, right? How fast can they rebuild? Are they gonna go to Navarro and then just travel to Mandalore? Like, all of this, obviously, we probably won't see, but it's
like we have a summer home in Navarro. Yeah. We'll go there and when it gets cold back home.
I mean, it wouldn't be bad writing if Bo-Katan needs to go, get some booty calls or whatever far away where nobody sees, right?
I mean, I'm just saying, she doesn't have to wear a helmet. She can get fully naked at that point. I don't mind if she does. Just saying.
I second that. And by the way, Captain Carson scene, did you catch a cameo there?
Dave Filoni?
Yes, sir. In the background. Yeah, so I thought that was cool. But
that fucking hat.
Relax time with Mando and Grogu. Show ends. What's next? Or what theories? What did you like? What you didn't like?
I think we harped on it a little bit. I mean, there isn't much more to. If I keep saying it, it's just going to be a broken record. Here's what. Let's just do this. What do you expect for season 4? because Jon Favreau has already said he's already written all the scripts for season 4.
Oh, he did?
Yep. He went on record and said he's already written everything for season 4. They're all done.
I have to.
How about this? What's the main storyline you think?
I would have to assume that, let me think about this one. I would have to assume that it would have to kind of depend on whatever happens in Ahsoka, right? And obviously Favreau, they probably already know that, right? But, damn, okay, so what do you think? Let me think about that.
Okay.
One. Let me simmer that one.
Well, I mean, let me just help you with yours, and then I'll tell you what mine is. I think if by the end of Ahsoka, Thrawn is still alive, that's going to take the forefront, or that's going to be the majority of the backstory of Mandalorian season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to be back there. It's going to touch on him here and there sporadically until he joins the fight against Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
I think pretty much he's going to go and establish himself on Mandalore or New Mandalore, and it's just going to be him coming up against anyone that's part of the New Republic. Now, how they play it out, meaning I'm hoping it's a losing effort, but by the end of Mandalorian finale ever, I hope it's not a winning thing. I hope he loses his life saving somebody, Grogu, anybody else, to an attack by the New Republic, because we already know they're going to be established.
Yeah.
So I hope it's leading up to that.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I 100% agree that Thrawn will be a big piece, right? Especially once they bring him into the universe, I think he's gonna be the main bad guy, right? I
think he's the main guy that really gets the New Republic going. Mm-hmm. They're still in the shadows right now. They're eventually going to get more and more followers, and I think he's going to be the big leader that gets them to the point where we end up meeting or getting hints of Snoke. Like eventually.
Yeah, that will be that's valid.
Because the whole time frame is 20 years, right? Like from this point to when The Force Awakened, or whatever it was called. What was episode 7 called?
The Force Awakens.
Okay. So between where we're at now to The Force Awakened, that's got to be like 20 or less years.
Let me see if I can find it. And I was thinking about that because I think Ahsoka might be before Mando, because I was thinking about your question of why wasn't Sabine there, right? Let's see. This is not what I want. Okay. So we have where's Mando? Mandalorian.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So here's the timeline.
So it is.
It's the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, then Force Awaken. That's literally the order it's supposed to play in timeline wise. Mm-hmm. I just don't know the time between, let's say, Mandalorian season 3, Ahsoka season 1, The Force Awakens.
Yeah, and if you see that Boba Fett and Ahsoka are connected to Mandalorian, so that means it's going to have to be in the same timeline, right? Well, I mean, around the same timeline, right? We don't know specifically, what, but definitely before.
Okay. Here's what I found. So Mandalorian season 1 is 9 ABY. after the Battle of Yavin.
Okay.
21 ABY is the First Order starts using crime syndicates to fund its increasing military activity. So if we take that, do the math, we've had 3 seasons, so that's 12. 12. We're at 12 ABY at the end of Mandalorian.
Okay.
Subtract 21, you've got yourself 18 years, right? 19 years. So it's 19 years before everything starts happening.
Right. Okay. So we can technically see an older Mando, right, and Ahsoka, whatever, in the new movies. Obviously, Luke we see he dies, but yeah, that's interesting, man. And I think that so at least for Mando season 4. We'll have some Thrawn action, and it all is going to depend on what we see in Ahsoka. Now, has there been any talks of a second part of Book of Boba Fett?
No talks of that at all. I mean, I don't see why they would need it. I don't think it was that impactful. Because the only part that was really interesting was when they brought in Din Djarin. You saw Luke again, and Baby Grogu came back. So, like, I think we're going to see Boba Fett, yes. I don't think we're going to see season 2 of Boba Fett.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, so with that, I think, definitely some more development for Grogu, but, Thrawn as a common enemy. I think that, we'll have definitely a more developed and unified Mandalore, and it's possible, man, that at some point, I mean, we'll see another Mandalorian civil war. I mean, those guys are known to kind of like get back into it and fight amongst each other. Although I did get the feeling that with the destruction of the Darksaber, that might be over, but they're Mandalorians, man, so they're stubborn and stuck to their ways.
Let's put it this way. It's going to be interesting where their relationship with everyone goes. Like, what the Mandalorian relationship with every other planet goes is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Only to the fact that we saw none of them and we saw none of them in the final trilogy. So how is everything going to play out?
Yeah.
So it's going to have to either be they turn their backs on any Jedi help, or they all died.
I almost wish, man, that they would come out and say, listen, the last 3 movies are not going to be canon. Forget about those. We're just going to start with this new type of writing and just forget about it.
I'm gonna say something even more out of the realm that's never going to happen. I wish they're like, hey, these last 3 we're going to redo, and we're going to have Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau do all 3 movies again, and we apologize ahead of time for the shitty things that we put together.
Or in the new movie, just have Rey fucking wake up and it was all a vision.
It was all a dream.
Oh my God, it was crazy, man.
Here's what I'll do. I'm okay with Force Awakens. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
The other 2, just throw them in the trash. It never happened.
Yeah.
Like, opening scene of episode 8 should be Rey going, oh, where the fuck am I? Yep.
Yes, I concur. But anyway, I guess we'll see, man. So we're gonna put a pin on Star Wars for the moment. What are our next podcast plans in the next few weeks?
So stay tuned. We're going to have a rating, or you're going to see us a rating on the movies that have come out in the first half of 2023, what we've seen, what we've liked, what we've disliked, and then just like ranking them. We still have a lot of movies coming out in May. We've got Fast X. We've got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or the Battle for the Spider-Verse. I forget what it's called fully. We have Guardians coming out. So we're going to have a podcast for each one of those movies.
Nice.
And our takes on them.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, and then we'll try to see what new shows. I know there's gonna be a new Star Wars show coming out in May the 4th. Be with you.
And with you.
So, and for now, I guess happy 420 everyone. Thank you so much for the views on YouTube. We've been having some pretty crazy number of views. I think one of our videos is like in the 2000s already, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh, and some people are leaving some messages. You need to log into the YouTube or something, man, because some of them are jabs at you and your comment about the music for Mandalorian. So you need to go and respond to those. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning us, and like, subscribe, all the above, and then we'll be back. J-Mo, we can call it a day.
Peace.
Peace out.